Pretty simple lunch today. We're just going to fry up a couple of Johnsonville sausages. Then we're going to talk about why I think the main reason people are afraid to get into traditional long rifles with traditional black powder, specifically flintlock guns. They're afraid they're going to spend all that time in bad weather, sitting on a tree stand, waiting for a deer to come by. Hours, days, maybe even more. And when that shot comes along, they're afraid their gun will not go off. We're going to show you how to alleviate that fear and make your flintlock gun reliable and something that you can actually depend on. But first, we're going to cook these up and we're going to have a little lunch and a little conversation and show you how you can make that flintlock gun work. The fire is roaring pretty good. It was a little bit chilly here this morning. Exactly 0 degrees Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. Kind of that, it's snowing out, but it has that cold, damp feeling to it. And this will be, you can tell when they start to split, you know they're pretty much done. A little bit of a light lunch today. Some Johnsonville brats, a little Dijon mustard, some chia powder bun, just kind of cut up and sliced up with some butter on it. Have a taste. Good. And of course, we have the honey jar. Cheers. Now there's things that I do that allow my flintlock rifle to go off every single time. Some people argue with me and say, well, it can't go off every single time. Well, it does. And most of these things I learned by accident. One of the things that I cannot stress enough is to make sure your barrel is dry. Keep your powder dry. But that doesn't just include moisture or water. It includes oil. Most guys think they're doing real good by oiling their barrel, and they are, except when they go hunting, they don't remove that oil. And I did a little experiment, and it's going to show you why you should clean your barrel with some type of alcohol. I use some terrible moonshine that was given to me by a guy in Kentucky. It's pretty tough stuff, but hey, it gets rid of the oil. And when I run out of that, I'll probably get some type of alcohol from the drugstore, and it'll do the same job. Since a couple of my videos I mentioned, and guys have gotten back to me and said, yeah, that's what they use in competition between relays. They clean their guns out with alcohol and they're ready to go. So anyway, make sure there is no moisture and no oil in your barrel. Keep your powder dry. I think a lot of times when guys have the misfortune of their gun not going off, whether it's at the range or whether they're actually in the woods hunting, they think, oh, it's bad luck. Oh, that's just the way these guns operate. If your gun is treated properly, it will go off every single time. If it doesn't go off, there's a reason. And it's up to you to determine what that reason was. You break it down piece by piece, and take care of every component that's involved in the mechanical and chemical and physical reaction to make your gun go off, it'll go off. It doesn't have a choice. It'll work. Starting from one end, the first thing you need is spark. So, in order to have good spark, you need a sharp flint. I remember one of the first times I went to the range was with my very first quality custom flintlock. I went to wipe off the edges of the flint, but I wanted gash on my thumb. So you need a sharp flint to make sure that your gun's gonna go off. So let's say you've got lots of spark, but the powder in your pan did not go off. That is probably moisture. It's probably not oil. It's probably, if it's oil, you have way too much oil in your barrel because it had a leak out the vent hole. But it's probably moisture, and that's something you have to be aware of all day long throughout your hunt. Dew on leaves and grass and will wipe down your barrel and possibly get in contact with your lock and get some moisture. If it's raining out, well, of course, that's bad news. You can use the cow's knee. I have one, but I very seldom use it. Usually if it's raining, I just don't go. I just go on the days when it's good. So, if you have good spark, and you had weak ignition in your pan or no ignition, it's because your powder was either damp or wet. So you get lots of spark. The powder in your pan just flashes just brilliantly. And that's it. Or maybe you get a delayed hang fire and your gun does go off. That is one of the simplest things to correct in the whole world. You need a vent pick. Now you can pick one up for about $2, $3. They're really cheap. But I kept losing them. So I use a safety pin. I got one attached to the strap on my shooting bag. I have one inside my shooting bag, and I have one in my pocket. So I have 3 safety pins. I can't lose all 3. And all you have to do is just take that safety pin, go inside that vent hole, move it around a little bit. That does 2 things. It clears the path for the spark from your pan, and it does what I say, it creates a little micro chamber in there. So that flash and spark, they get inside behind all that gunpowder, they're bouncing all over the place. One spark makes good contact with the powder and that ball's gone before you can even think about it. So you clear the path, move it around a little bit, make kind of a little micro chamber, boom. Dead deer, or turkey, or squirrel, or target. You get a good spark, powder flashes off, goes in the hole, and maybe nothing happens. Maybe you get a hang fire. Maybe you get a weak combustion where you can tell it's just not a full charge. It booms the ball. I won't say it rolls out of the barrel, but you know what I mean. It only comes out about half a lot because you've only combusted about half of the powder. That is probably from oil in your barrel. If it went off in the pan and it didn't go off in the barrel, that's oil in the barrel. 100% of the time, that is oil in the barrel. If it was any kind of moisture that you happen to come into contact with, it would have wrecked the powder in the pan. But because that ignited so brilliantly, got into the powder, and you had nothing, that was oil in your barrel. I promise you. Get rid of that stuff. From the end of the season to opening day, that's great stuff. After that, no oil in the barrel. Wipe your barrel dry with alcohol or something other, maybe with ammonia in it. Get that barrel dry, and it won't see oil again till after hunting season. And if I shoot my gun off, I don't clean it. I just load another round and it stays that way for the rest of the season. What about taking your gun inside at night? Some guys swear that's what they have to do. Let's think about how condensation happens. It's when warm, moist air from inside your house comes into contact with cold material. Any air that would dampen your powder has to come into contact with the powder through that tiny little flash hole. That's the only way your powder can collect moisture, is through condensation through that tiny little flash hole. I take my guns in every night. I never leave my gun in the truck, in the garage, on the back, by the back door, on the deck. No, I take my gun in every night. Then what I do is I place it relatively close to a heat source. Whether it's a wood stove, a radiator, it doesn't matter, but a nice gentle source of heat. What that does is any moisture that incidentally came into contact with that powder will be driven off overnight. The next day, my gun is ready to go. Another thing that I happen to use all the time is 3F powder. Now that came to me by mistake. I started off with a 40 caliber, got a 45, then I got my turkey gun, which is a 62 caliber. It had the cold rain turkey choke on it. And after when I got the 40 caliber, I had 3F powder. And when I got my other guns, I had 3F powder, so I just kept using it. And it keeps working. And I keep killing turkeys and deer. So I'm going to keep on using it. Now, it's widely accepted that 3F powder is a lot easier to ignite than 2F powder. Now, there are some advantages to 2F powder, but I've been using 3F powder for, 20 plus years, and I'm going to keep on using it, probably because I have 7 or 8 pounds of it. And I think that's one of the reasons of my success, is because I use powder that is easier to ignite. The 3F is easier than 2F. Some people even use the 3F for priming. It's that easy to ignite. And I came across that by accident, and it keeps working, so I'm going to keep on doing it. So you've got sharp flint. Your priming pan is filled with about 3/4 full with probably 4F powder. You've used a vent pick to clear a pathway, maybe even create a little micro chamber. Your barrel's dry. That means your powder is dry. Your gun will go off every time because it doesn't have a choice. Maybe 999 times out of 1,000. It'll go off, I promise you. So if you want, now, what I do isn't the only way, and I keep saying this. If you have a system that works, then definitely stay with it. But if you're having difficulty, I just gave you the solution. We're going to show my little experiment that I did with oil and powder, and it's a little bit of tough love, okay? The way I explained it, it's a little bit harsh. But is the part help? Yeah. The part tough love? Yeah. It explains how oil gets wrecked in your barrel. So if I could just stress one thing, is keep your barrel dry. And we're gonna have another piece of sausage here. Another few video clips I'm gonna show you is how your gun should look when it goes off. I think the one clip, I know my gun was loaded for over 2 months, and I hunted in the most miserable weather you can imagine. And I never left my gun outside, always took it in, set it beside a gentle heat source. After 2 months, the ignition was instantaneous. It was instant. A couple of weeks, I'm going to drive about 1,800 miles to Kentucky. And I'm going to be hiking some hills that my knees are not going to appreciate. But after driving all the way down there and having to, once I'm done hunt, I'm going to have to drive all the way back. I am not worried that my gun will go off. I know it's going to go off. And you should be that way too. When you see a buck or even a doe or a big tom come strutting in, the last thing you want to worry about is my gun going to go off. You want to concentrate on the front bead of your barrel if you're looking at a turkey, or make sure that the sights are lined up behind the shoulder of that nice doe or that nice buck. And when that trigger breaks, the only thing you want to hear is a roar and a big cloud of smoke, and know for sure that you've got a trophy waiting at the end. So anyway, watch those videos. Don't be afraid to leave any comments. I don't think we're going to have any dessert today. We're just going to finish this up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for the visit. I'll see you again soon. Today we're going to try a little experiment. I wiped this tablespoon with just 1 drop of olive oil, and I've given it a good wipe. Now that's going to represent the inside of your rifle barrel. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of 3F powder and give it a little sprinkle. This isn't even a lot. This is maybe half a charge of powder if you're using a 50 or 54 caliber rifle. So when you pour your powder charge down the barrel, this is what's going to happen if the side of your barrel is lightly coated with oil. Give that a little tip. There you go. That's the side of your barrel. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a tightly packed round ball, shove it down the barrel, and that's going to wipe all of that coated gunpowder off the side of the barrel and pack it down in the bottom. And then it's going to sit there for 1 hour, 2 hours, all day until maybe you're lucky enough to get a shot at some game. And it's just going to soak in that oil and just, oh, it's going to be a mess, guys. We're going to give this a little wipe just to show you. There is no way you're ever going to ignite that with a little flash from your priming pan.